All right. Okay, record. Wow. Okay. Whew. I came in here to record a video and then, let me see. Oh, look at that. It's so bright blue. So I came in here to record a video and I came here an hour ago and yeah, I'm still getting new to this. And yeah, it just takes some, let's just say I went down a rabbit hole of, do I have the right software? Is this mic, why is the mic picking up background noises? And it just zapped like an hour and 15 minutes of my time. So I'm just gonna record. Hopefully the mic sounds good. My prior videos I've been recording with the mic that came with my camera has not been as crisp and clear as I would like it to be. So we're gonna hope that this very expensive mic, is doing its job. We'll see when we record it. And if not, I'll just have to re-record it, which I don't want to re-record it. So I'm going to talk about the time I fired my Airbnb manager and what better place to record it but in my Airbnb. And so I'm hoping I could do this one take, 0 to no editing, because editing is the bane of my existence. I'm going to do this off the dome. There was a lot. This story was kind of crazy. This guy was a scammer. He was a scammer. But before we start, I would love to pray. If you're not religious, you don't believe in God, I'll put the timestamp. Feel free to hop over it. But Heavenly Father, thank you for waking us up for another day. Thank you for just continuously walking with us and guiding our footsteps, our thoughts, our tongues. The way we speak to other people, particularly the way we speak to ourselves. God, I just ask that I thank you. I thank you in advance for all the many blessings you're going to give us today and tomorrow and for eternity. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. All right, let's get started. So we're gonna call my Airbnb manager John. We'll call him John. I think that's a good name. Friend of mine, he lives across the street. He also owns a 4-unit. I had a tenant who set my house on fire. That's a different story for another day. It was on the news. It's kind of crazy. But anyways, so John, no, the friend across the street, we'll call him. I don't know if I can keep up with all these names. So, but it's fine. It's fine. I'll call him Chris, which may or may not be his real name. So my tenant, whatever, that's a different story for a different day. She is she's gone, she's out of here, and I'm renovating this unit. So Chris was like, hey, you should really do Airbnb. I'm working with this guy, John, he's killing it. He has he manages 30 properties or whatever in DC. He's great. And I'm like, And then someone else I know down the street, Justin, that's his real name, super cool dude. Also, he owns a 4-unit. He doesn't live there. He owns a 4, and neither does Chris, and neither do I, right? We just own these properties that we manage. Justin down the street, also doing Airbnb, showing me screenshots, right? So this is May of early this year, showing me screenshots of I made 7K this month, I made 6K this month, and he's the numbers are blowing my mind, right? And I'm like, okay, you're seeing those type of numbers we're talking 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. Chris told me about it, and then Justin stamped it, and I was like, okay, we're gonna do Airbnb. We're gonna do Airbnb. I remember I launched after my birthday. It was the last week of May, and so I was working with this. So John, meet John. John, so I do a call with him, and he's like, And I do some Google of him online, and I definitely see he owns a lot. He manages via Airbnb a lot of different properties in DC, and I see he's done interviews on like bigger podcasts, and every investor knows that like, okay, cool, that's a good look. Even though after a second look, it was like bigger podcasts is like, it wasn't like on bigger podcasts as like YouTube. It was like it was like, I don't even know. It was like bigger podcasts is like written interview that I'm almost positive you could probably call and be like, hey, this is the business. Can you interview me? Or like, I'll pay for an interview. It was giving me that kind of vibe. But he's also doing it. He did other interviews. I was like, cool. So John, I read the contract. John's contract is not that good. I'm a lawyer, and I'm like, I'm not signing this. And he also wanted 12% of all of my Airbnb monthly, every renovation, 12%. Plus, on top of that, this is going to be a really long story. Okay. I guess the first red flag would have been like, he was like, hey, I can send you an Airbnb host referral code, and I get like $800, and we can like split it. And I was like, oh, that kind of sounds nice. But I was like, sure. He was like, yeah, just like use my referral link. The money I get, like, we could split it. I was like, okay. Red flag. And then gaming the system, right? For me, if you're trying to game the system, red flag, right? So, all right. So then, okay, there's that. He sent me the contract. So I'd already signed the contract, whatever. I'll just kind of hop here. He sent me the contract. The contract was not a good contract. And I'm like, I'm not signing this. And it was like really broad one-way indemnification clause. Like, I'm not signing this. So I told him, I was like, hey, instead of doing 12%, me paying you 12%, I will give you a better contract. And you can get, I think I said 10%? No, because Chris was getting 10%. No, Chris was getting 7%. No. Was he trying to? No, this is what happened. He was trying to say 15%. He could come down to 14%. And I said, I'll give you a better contract, and I will give me 12%, and I'll do it, like, I'll be okay with 12%. Something like that. So I think we ended on 12%. The relationship only lasted a month and a half, so I don't even remember, right? And what I did not ask was, how much do you pay per cleaning? That was a red flag. I mean, that I didn't ask that, so let's just put a pin in that. So it's cool vibe. He seems like a cool dude. He comes, he does a tour. I give him a tour of the place. Well, let me back up. So before he actually, so he sends me the contract, and I'm like, so we negotiate on like, I'll give you a better contract, and 12%. He's like, cool. So I'm like, there's changes I'm going to make on the contract. I will, because he was sending it via like where you can sign electronically. I was like, I will send it. I'll make my changes, and I'll send you via email. What's your email? This dude is going to go, this dude really told me, Google, you can Google my email. Red flag number 2, right? And we haven't even started working. I haven't even signed yet. Red flag number 2. I was like, yeah, I did, and I couldn't find it. No response. I hit up Chris. Chris was like, oh, here's his email. And I'm like, he's kind of acting a little Hollywood. Like, you can Google my email. Like, So, okay, so I ended up getting his email address from Chris. I sent him over the signed contract, and then he was like, cool. His whole vibe changed, like, cool, blah, blah, blah. So, we do a walkthrough. He gives me some really good pointers, which I will feel like if someone who has 30 plus, I'm sure he has way more 30 than this was earlier this year. I'm sure he has more properties that he, manages in Airbnb that were really, really good insights that I feel like I wouldn't even have known if I just started myself, but I would have possibly learned over time. But I will say that, he gave some good insight. He curated my whole page. like as far as my listing. I had my own professional photographer that was recommended from Chris come, and John actually loved the photographer so much. He was like, so John had a photographer he was going to work with, and I was like, hey, how much does your guy charge? He was like, and I was like, he said, I think $200, right? For 30 pictures finished, whatever. And then, or 35 pictures, we'll say that. Or 40 pictures, I don't know. He said $200. But Chris had already recommended his Airbnb manager, and his pictures look, his Airbnb photographer, and his pictures look great. So I was like, oh, I'm going to go with Chris. I think his was like $180, right? It was $20 less, but I was like, And this is why I said, because John, I was like, oh, can you put me in contact with your Airbnb photographer? And he was like, oh, no, you can work through me. You can work through me and I'll set up everything. And I was like, that's a red flag. The guy's probably like 150 and they're probably skimming 50 off top. You're skimming off top because why can't I can't even talk to him. So fast forward, I used my photographer. Pictures came out great. I need to turn on the heat. It's actually, I'm getting chilly. So 1 second. Okay. Where did I leave off? Because again, the bookings are rolling in. It's going good. Like, yeah, no issues. So I kept asking John, so his cleaners are coming. After the first booking, this was is the red flag, technically. I think we're on 3. I have all gray towels and gray sheets. And the gray towels, I was coming into after the first checkout. I, stopped by, looked in the unit, and for the next guest, so the cleaners come, they turn the unit, they clean it, they put new towels out, standard Airbnb procedures. For the next guest, they had his cleaners, so he had his own cleaners. They had put out, I think my next guest was like 3 people. They put out 2 gray towels and a blue towel. And I was like, where does this blue towel come? And it wasn't even like a nice blue towel. I mean, it didn't match. So that's issue 1. But it wasn't even like a nice blue towel. It was like dingy, looked like it was from someone's house. It clearly was from someone else's Airbnb. And what happened was, this happened after the second cleaning, actually, because what happened was after the first, I noticed they took all of my sheets and my towels. And I was like, okay, this is a little weird because I like to kind of watch over all my stuff. And he was like, yeah, they bring it off site, they wash it, and then they bring it back. And I was like, So he has 30 plus properties across DC. So I was like, okay. But it was confirmed when it was 2 gray towels and a blue, what do you call it? A blue towel came back. And I'm like, what? No, we need to bring back a gray one. Like they need to bring back one now. So I guess he had an assistant that worked with him. She ended up door dashing 3 whole new sets of towels, which was nice. I was asking him, I was like, yeah, I kind of don't, I was like, I think I'm going to wash my own towels and my own sheets moving forward. And he was like, fine. So now they were just coming in and clean. Okay, cool. I kept asking him, hey, how much is each cleaning? How much is each cleaning? Oh, I'll let you know. It varies from unit to unit. So I keep saying, I'll let you know. I'm getting more and more turnings, more bookings, right? Like guest comes, checks out, guest checks out, right? So after the first, I want to say full month, he finally tells me, right? Mind you, I'm doing good. I'm rolling in dough. Because what happens is he sends an invoice. He sends an invoice afterwards. Hey, Aria. He sends an invoice afterwards, like after each month with all of your cleanings. His fee gets taken out immediately. So Airbnb, you could set it up where there's a disbursement of like 12% goes straight to him. And so he was getting his fee immediately. But as far as the cleanings, he would invoice at the end of the month. Now, I kept asking him how much for each cleaning, right? He took so long. This is Aria. Hey, Aria. So I was asking how much after each cleaning.
And he's like, oh, so he finally tells me it's $150. So mind you, they're just cleaning. For example, like, I know the standard cleaning places, a 2-bedroom, 750 square feet unit, $150, and on top of that, they were no longer doing the washing of the towels in the sheets. I was doing that myself because they kept losing, and I have the benefit, I work remote, like I have the benefit to do that. I was losing. They were losing towels. Well, it was the one time, and I was like, I don't want to happen again. Like, I'm the type of person, like, something happens once, and I'm like, let's course correct so that doesn't happen again, right? So I'm like, I'm paying you $150 for what? And then he ends up telling me, like, oh, but so after, I'm all over the place. After they had lost the blue towels, they had lost my towels. They replaced it with a random blue towel. He tells me, oh, he was apologetic. He said, well, moving forward in the next month, we're going to, I bought a big shed in my house, and I'm going to have all the cleaners come and wash on site at my place. And then they're going to put each guest towels and sheets in a bag that's labeled, accordingly, so this doesn't happen again. But the price of cleaning is going to go up. He said it's going to include a laundry fee. I asked him, like, oh, how much is that laundry fee going to be on top? He's like, oh, well, like, cleaning and laundry would be like, it'd probably be like $200 at cleaning. Let's just sink this in, right? Let's do some basic math. $200 a turn. That means if I'm making $2,000 from those 5 guests, I'm essentially paying him 50%. Now, that wasn't a good example because I was not paying 50%. Let's just say it was a lot of money. All I know is after the first invoice I ever got, ended up getting 2. So I only worked for a month and a half. I got 1 invoice. I paid $1,000. I paid $1,000, and that was after there was like offsets and that was added for a different conversation. But I paid $1,000. So just imagine how significantly a $200 per turn is eating into the profit margins. Like, it just didn't make any sense. I was like, what? $200 a turn? And just another thing to put things in perspective, when I ended up completely managing my Airbnb, my cleaners now, I had to fire I just fired 2 cleaners, but the one I have now, I pay her $75, not including a tip, right? I pay her $75. He was charging $150 and then talking about he's going up to $200. I'm like, oh, he's making a lot of money off of cleanings. Right? And then it's all his cleaners. You don't know, like, there's no transparency. He could be actually paying his cleaners, let's say $100, and then he's keeping $100 for himself. So he's actually profiting from the cleanings. And then on top of that, but he was profiting. He definitely was profiting, right? You have to pay management fee, and then you're essentially paying to get your place clean. Oh, on top of that, this is a 2-bedroom. How much is he charging guests or his clients who have like 4 bedrooms, 5 bedrooms? Are you charging them $500 for cleaning? Like, it's ridiculous. So mind you, we're like into, like, it's like 2 weeks before our relationship terminated. We'll say that. It was terminated. I noticed, so bookings are slowing down. It's kind of coming, bookings. So now we're like May, June, July. We're like July, remember, it's like mid-July. I just noticed like August, September, like future bookings were just coming in few and far between. I get it. The summer's almost coming to an end. August was pretty booked. Even into like September was pretty booked, but like the mid-September was kind of and October was definitely and December was like January, obviously, the presidential inauguration was that family booked like as soon as I opened my calendar, right? Like, people were on that January inauguration date. So anyways, so I'm like, hey, like we had mentioned when we first started working together that like you were gonna branch out on like maybe Booking.com or Vrbo, and he was like, oh yeah, like just give it some more time on Airbnb. You don't want to like block out dates on Airbnb in lieu of like having availability on those other sites, which I have my theories on why he said that. And our relationship was getting a little strained, right? Because I already said I'll do cleaning myself. I said I'll do cleaning myself. I already took the sheets back, so I do clean myself. There were times I noticed his cleaners were like, it was still dirty. I would call that out. There was just little stuff, right? I'm not feeling it. Our relationship was strained. So the pricing model. So I had said to him, I was like, hey, and he was getting snippy with me, and like at the end of the day, I'm like, dude, I pay you, right? Like, not saying that it shouldn't be anything. At the end of the day, it's just like, this is a business relationship. Like, let's just put emotions aside. This is a business relationship. If I'm receiving money from someone else, right? At the end of the day, I'm gonna always be respectful for whether I'm giving money or receiving money. However, if you are receiving money, right, like from your employer, there is a level of, how do you say, like, there's just a level of kind of respect, kind of like demeanor you would carry when it comes to someone you're receiving money from. It's just a different vibe. And he was just getting like a little like, he was doing me a favor, right? And there was times guests would be responding in his system, because what I now know, he was utilizing channel partners. I'm almost positive he was using what I now use, Hospitable. Hospital referral link in the bio, just in case you want it, right? Okay, we just gotta do that shameless plug. Anyways, so yeah. The one time his message was like, hey Shelly, to a guest that was named Phil, and it kept every time I sent a message it said Shelly, and I was like, why do you, but I know it's not him, I know it's auto messages, like, why do you keep calling this guest Shelly? This guest's name is clearly Phil, right? Just poor management. Sometimes they just didn't respond, or sometimes like they took a long time to respond, or their response was not responsive. There were times where like guests needed things and I was like, I'll just go get it myself. Like, it's not, so I'm like, what am I paying them for? This was the final straw. Yeah, whatever pricing system he was using started setting, so summer's coming to an end, right? It's winding down. It's still setting dates in December at like summer prices, like $200, $220. And when I would look at the neighboring 2-bedroom, 1-bath a night, it was like more like $180, $190, right? Oh, and there's something else I forgot he did. Wow, how did I forget this? So I told him his cleaning fee was too much. This is where I just wind it off. Says your cleaning fee's too much, and he'd be like, oh, well, if it's too much, what we can do is he didn't tell me this, he did it himself. He went into the back end and pretty much disappeared the cleaning fee. So it was $150. Right? So this is the kicker. I forgot the kicker. He was charging me $150, and guests were also being charged $150. Right? So when you talk about, I was like, do you understand? I'm entering the red now. Right? Like, I'm now, like, the cleaning fee is not even passing through me, right? The cleaning fee, well, essentially it is, but then I have to pay your management fee, and then the cleaning fee is passing completely through me. If we're charging guests $150, right, and I'm paying you $150 for cleaning, that is a $0, and then I have to pay you the 12% on top of that. I'm like, this dude is just making bank. It's a smart business model for him, if you're a scammer, right? But I'm like, dude, so I said the cleaning fee is too much. Can we lower it for guests? So this is when I took that cleaning myself. I stopped doing them. I stopped giving it to him. I was like, I'll do them myself. I was like, let's lower it. 150 is too much. He's like, okay, so he didn't tell me this. So he went into a system, which it's called, there's an option, if you have 6 or more listings on Airbnb, you get to see a feature that people who do not see. I found this out from calling Airbnb for like 4 days and doing research. It's called property management fee. It's called property management fee. It's underneath, you go to listing fees. This property management fee, you can, whatever number you plug into, on the front end, guests do not see it. What happens is that fee is absorbed, or pretty much, it's absorbed into the nightly fee. So if you put a fee of $100 and each night your nightly rate is $100, then guests will see each night is actually $150, right? Well, 150 plus 150 is, 100 divided by 2 is 50 is 50. So instead of a nightly rate of 100 for 2 nights, so $200, 100, this property management fee, that is $100, each $50 will get tacked on, so guests will just see a nightly rate of $150. So he's like, oh, this is better. So I just noticed all my prices went up, but the cleaning fee disappeared. And I was like, this is weird. So now I'm like calling Airbnb, I'm doing research, and I realize, again, I don't have 6 or more listings. He has 6 or more listings. So I call Airbnb, can you change this? They're like, no, we can't change it. You have to talk to your manager who said it. I was like, wait, what? This is my listing. Why not? And the funny thing is too, he was like, hey, do you want to list your Airbnb underneath my name, or do you want to list underneath your name? And I was like, what's the benefit? He was like, well, you get Superhost from day one. And I was like, no, we can list it underneath my name, right? And he ended up joking afterwards. He was like, yeah, you list underneath your name, which is actually what smart people do. And if you look, there are some guests, his clients, that list it, like, yeah, you can list it underneath your name, I want no parts, right? There are some really hands-off clients are getting screwed. Like, just getting screwed, and they don't even know. Maybe they're so checked out they don't care. Maybe this is just like, hey, I'm okay with getting $1,000 a month, not knowing that they probably could get like $2, $3, $4 grand a month, like, or netting, right? I'm okay with netting $1,000 a month, even though they could be netting way more. They're just not reading into, and that's why we started getting tension filled, because like I kept reading into the lines. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. So I'm like, hey, when you do this like whole property, I'm like, can you reverse this property management thing? Like, reverse it, right? Let's take a pin in that, because that was the final straw, right? Let me back up. The pricing, I did not like his pricing. I said, your pricings are too much. So I had an issue with even the cleaning fee amount, and now that summer is winding down, I'm like, we need to drop my rates. It's too much. No, this is right. You don't know, he was on the phone, we had 3 different phone calls, John and I, and he was like trying to tell me that the pricing was right. And I was like, there were some nights where I'm like, after you check out, each nightly rate was like $300, right? And then for the inauguration week, I kid you not, each nightly fee was literally, I had to screenshot and I sent it to friends. It was literally like $450. I was like, do you know these are like Ritz-Carlton Resort in Jamaica type fees? Like, you do know that. He's like, why do you not think your place is worth that much a night? And I was like, because it's not. I'm in DC, and then like people who know DC are like, I'm in Ivy City. Yes, it's like getting gentrified. The place is getting gentrified, but it's like, it's still like, it's not Georgetown. Right? It's not Georgetown. He's like, why do you not think your place should be worth that much like the Ritz-Carlton? I'm like, because it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Yes, it's super nice. Don't get me wrong. It's nice. It's cute. It's cozy. Shouldn't be $450 a night. Are you crazy? So he had a service, so the whole service management fee, I was like, did you add, so first I asked him, he was like, yeah, it's so guests don't see the cleaning fee, but we still get it. And mind you, it's not we, because I'm definitely not getting any money from this cleaning fee. I'm not. And then I was like, yeah, remove that. Because I tried to call Airbnb, and I was like, remove that. And he was like, oh, and mind you, every day I was going in and changing the nightly rates. Like, I was changing the rates myself manually, but because the system is like, it's an automatic system, it would just like every day refresh. So I was just, every morning I would go in. It's just kind of stressful time for me. So I asked him, I was like, can you remove this like hidden property management fee? And then he was like, why? He asked me why. Why? I said, we don't need that. We don't need that. And I was like, it's stupid. I don't like it. It's increasing the nightly rates. It's not like it disappears visually, but it's still there. It's still there in theory. And he's like, and I was like, and the most important thing is like, I can't have any part of my Airbnb listing that if I need to change it, I can't change it. Because again, this option is not visible if you have 6 or less. If you have 5 or less listings, you just don't even see this feature. It's kind of crazy if you think about it. And he was like, well, there should be no part of your Airbnb listing that you need to change. That's why you hired me. And I was like, I get that, but no, I need to be able to have access. God forbid you die, right? Like, what happens? Like, no, right? I was steadfast. So he ended up changing it, and then as soon as he changed it, I immediately removed his ability to manage everything except for communicate with guests immediately, like literally immediately. And then he's blowing up my phone. What happened? And I just, okay, this was not, I probably could have handled this situation a little bit better. I probably could have, or definitely probably could have. But yeah, eventually he was like, he quits. So he quits. I kind of quiet fired him. You can quiet fire someone, right? Yeah. Can we make that a thing? Instead of quiet quitting, like I quiet fired him. He was like, he was still getting his payouts though. I was not, like, I'm not the type of person like, oh, I'm going to stop your payouts. He was still going to get his payouts. But he was like, he sent me this email, like, this is causing me anxiety. I can't work with you. This is so unprofessional. I'm quitting. And I was like, well, I slept on it, I prayed on it, and I was like, well, yeah, okay, I totally understand. And I was like, well, since you are technically in breach of the contract, because technically you're in breach of the contract, I'm not entitled to pay you. I was like, I'll pay you when you quit, I'll pay you your payout for that reservation. I'm not paying you future reservation payouts. And I was like, because I'm going to have to manage those completely myself. Which, mind you, I was already doing the cleaning, right? I said, you're in breach because in the contract, I didn't add this. This was how bad his contract was, which I signed with my edits. His contract was so bad. I gave him such an amazing contract. Like, I gave him such a great contract. Like, a contract that's probably worth $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 that he'll probably be using for the next 5 years of his life. So he came out in this situation, and I learned a great lesson. I said, because your contract requires that you give, I think his contract required like a 7-day notice to terminate, and I said, because your contract requires you give a 7-day notice to terminate, and you terminated effective immediately, right? His email was like, I quit, right? It wasn't like, well, I'm quitting, but I'll do a wind down in 7 days. He just quit, literally. I was like, because of that, and you immediately stopped performing, you are in breach of the contract. So I'm not entitled to honor your future payouts. And then he never responded. I never responded. I was at a networking event. I ran into him, and he was on the phone. Mind you, I was in the bathroom, and I came back to the bar area, and then he was on the phone, and he was like, oh, 1 second. Like, I was walking over to say hi to him. He just happened, when I was sitting at the bar, he just happened to come sit at the bar. I was in the bathroom. I was walking back to the bar, and he thought I was walking over to say hi to him. No, I was just walking to my seat. And he was like, 1 second. I was like, this dude's a weirdo. But anyways, all right, so that was it. I know that story was all over the place. Wow, this is gonna be a long YouTube video. I'll try to edit it, which I don't want to do, and edit it down. But yeah, that is it. Thank you for listening, everyone. Okay, bye.